Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining. Welcome to the monthly Lytec User Group. My name is Robert Gabriel. This is my contact information. Today's seminar is going to be recorded, and we have a small group, so you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions. We're going to go over some of my favorite features about Lytec. Some of it happened this release, some of it happened in previous releases. Okay, and just a disclaimer, anything you learn in this seminar, Microwize cannot be held responsible for any loss of data or revenue. You need to verify your information yourself. This seminar is being recorded and it will be made public. Okay, this is the agenda today. We're going to talk about some of the best features since Lytec 2017. But you're welcome to ask any questions. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions or type it in the chat and I'll do my best to read. Okay, so on top here on each features, I'm mentioning what version it is. So the current version, which has not been shipped yet, is Lytec 2022. And if you're in the cloud, you will be getting it as soon as it's available. If you're still the old-fashioned client server or computer based, some of you might order your upgrade already and some might be placing your order soon. Okay, so I already have some of this pre-recorded already. So the first feature, which happened to be my favorite, because for many years I've been handling Lytec, a lot of people wanted to have a KPI. KPI is like a dashboard. Can I look, if you're a billing company or your practice manager or a doctor, can you take a snapshot at your practice and know all the things that's important to you? And the answer now, yes. So let's take a look and see how this works.
Two new features in Lytec 2022 are the financial and patient visit dashboards. And those are reached through reports, dashboards, and you'll have a patient encounters dashboard and a practice financial dashboard. These can be set to display upon startup by user. So if you have a manager who would like to start their day by seeing these immediately when they start the program, those can be set to show at startup. If you have other staff who don't need to see them, you can turn that off, and it's also under security so that they can't see that at all. I'll go to the financial dashboard first. Just open this up a little farther. And you can see the key performance indicators included on here. In our production report, we're itemizing the charges, the adjustments for the charges, payments, negative adjustments, and then the net production. Doing it for the current month, the same month last year and a variance, and then a year to date for this year to date at the same point last year and its variance. And you can also see that we have a graph that shows the charges and payments mix over the last 12 months. So you can see how the charges change from month to month. Same way with payments. This should very quickly show those months where the the provider may be on vacation, or the end of the year when there's lots of visits coming in. Same way with payments, when payments fluctuate throughout the year. So you can see it visually now, not just on reports like you could in the past. Also a net collection percentage. And this is a net, so it is calculated based with the insurance adjustments already taken out. So this is what's actually available to be collected. You can also print this if you want to have to save this for distribution. I'll flip over to the patient encounters dashboard. This is showing a few indicators based on the appointment schedule and the charges for the time period. You can select your time period that you'd like to show a to and from. You can also select what providers. So you can do the entire practice or just show on a provider by provider basis. Again, you can print this if you want to keep it or distribute it to others. The three KPIs here are a patient visit count for the period that you've indicated, and then the prior year for that period, the percentage of missed and canceled appointments, which will be a great lead-in to some other features in Lytec regarding patient appointment reminders. So this could be used to help illustrate where that could help bring some missed appointments down. And then the average charges per visit, this period that you've chosen versus the same period last year in the prior year.
And the next feature is the CARE Act. The CARE Act is a new regulation that you need to comply with. So some of our upgrades are feature-based and some of it is compliance-based. So we all need to be compliant. So the CARE Act in this particular part is you're required to keep track of the patient change sex or change gender or change address or anything like that. So let's see how this one works.
To address some new patient demographic fields under the 21st Century Cures Act, we made a little change to the patient demographic screen in CGM Lytec 2022. Several of the new fields that are now required include listing a previous name for a patient, their previous address, and a birth sex. So if you need to change someone's name for some reason or their address, rather than having to copy and paste in an area, we have an ellipse button you can push. You'll bring up the previous information, and then you can just click copy to copy over what's in there currently, save that, and then you can go ahead and make your changes to the patient's information. There's also a new field for birth sex, which is one of the demographics requirements. To print this out, if you have a patient who wants to receive this information, we have a custom report, Cures Act Patient Demographics Report. And I'll just pick one patient here. And you can see your report. It lists the name of the practice. It has the patient's name, their previous name if they had one, patient's address, previous address if they had one, the other different demographic information that is requested in this report, along with the birth sex. And another requirement is who is providing this information. So it lists the name of the practice and date and time stamped on the report also. You can print this out or export it however the requester would like to receive it.
Right. Okay, and the next feature. So this feature is actually coming from Lytec 2021, and this is regarding Lytec Mobile app. So you can use the mobile app in a few ways. Number one, the physician or anybody in the practice can see the schedule, can actually maintain the schedule. So if you are on the move, maybe answering calls because of the short staff, maybe answering calls while you're walking around in the practice or outside of the practice, you can actually modify the schedule in Lytec. So adding an appointment, removing an appointment, or make any changes if patient calls you and you ask you to make a change on the spot or somebody made a new appointment. Also, the same mobile app, you're able to use the super bill. So if you're making rounds at the nursing home or you at a hospital, the physician can actually not just see the schedule, they can actually use the computerized super bill or the electronic super bill. So this feature has been around with us for like 5-7 years now, and it just got better. And this is some of the enhancement they just had.
I'm going to talk to you about the mobile app for Lytec. This will be new mobile version 3.2 for this year, and we'll be working with Lytec 2020. Keep in mind that Lytec Mobile is tested and supported on iOS versions 12 and higher. It has been tested on iOS 13 and the new iOS for iPads. The mobile app works with an iPad or an iPhone or an Android tablet. It does not work with an Android phone. So if you want to use your phone, it will have to be an iPhone. But regular iPad, iPhone, and Android tablet. So let's go into the Lytec mobile app. Notice the first thing is asking me for a password because this is a very secure system. I also have the ability, if I have multiple practices, I would see them in my toggle here, my rolling bar, so I could access multiple practices from my device. I'm just using an iPad, so I may refer to that a couple of times. So I can just flip through and pick the practice that I want. Well, let's go ahead and log in. I talked about the security here. Keep in mind that the data is never residing on your device, on your mobile device. It's always still back at your office where you would normally see it. This just accesses it. So if your device is stolen or misplaced or something like that, there is no data on it, no patient data. So you don't have to worry about a HIPAA violation for security or for PHI. You also have logins and PIN numbers, so patients can't just walk off and start accessing. Okay, this is a typical Lytec mobile app screen. I have some people that are due in on my schedule for the day. So I'll just pick someone here. And in this case, I've picked Caitlin Bailey. Previously, this is about all you would see. We've expanded this year to add a lot more to the patient card. So I just expanded the view here. First off is we now show the middle initial for the patient, which makes it much more accurate when you're picking the patient from a patient list. If you have multiple people with the same first and last name, now the middle initial will show, so you can hopefully pick the right one. We're also showing the additional insurance information. Previously, we only showed the primary and a little bit of information, but we're now showing the secondary and tertiary information, along with, I can't really touch it, but it's about 3/4 of the way down the right side, a guarantor balance. So that's going to show how much this patient is owing, but this is the patient balance, them as a guarantor. If they are a responsible party for other people, it does not show everything. It only shows for this patient. Also, what's new is at the bottom is I can show the diagnoses. In Lytec, we can't read the diagnoses from the last billing. So what we're pulling in are any diagnoses that have been attached to the patient and tagged as a permanent diagnosis. So if you've not used that in the past, you might want to start making chronic diagnoses, tag them as permanent for the patient, and that way they would show up here on the patient card. Okay. Along the left side, I can choose various dates. So I'll just go back to today. And I can also choose different resources. So if I had the different resources set up in my Lytec scheduler, I can select them here, and I can have multiples too, just by touching and clicking those individuals or rooms, whatever your resources are set up as. The colors that you see along here, let's say Dorothy is red and Catherine Anderson and Harrison Bader are blue. It's following the same color scheme that you use in your appointments when you set them up. You can colorize the appointments for reasons, by reason. So those have meaning to the office, and so you can see those very quickly here. The little person's head that you see here as an icon shows that I've used this, that this person has gone through the patient intake. Notice that same little icon with the plus is toward the top of the screen. It just means that I have used these patients and they've gone through the patient intake. And the check mark represents that I have actually performed the billing. I've completed a super bill for these. Normally, you're not going to see a lot of these until the end of the day as you had all the super bills go through for the day. I test this a lot, and that's why I have a lot here just when I first go into it. Okay, speaking of the schedule, let's go in and go to the schedule an appointment. I'm looking at the day, and this is a little bit more like the screen that you're used to within Lytec itself. So I'm seeing the information. Several things that are new for this year. We've always had the ability to add an appointment. So let's just pick 2:30, and I'll add. And I can go through and look up a patient. Let's say Thompson. And all my Thompson's shown up, so I can just click the one I want. If a patient does not exist, I can add the patient at that point, but I'm just bringing up a patient that I have already. I can select my reasons. So let's say it's a physical. And 45 minutes came up automatically because in my Lytec system, I have set up that physicals will always default to 45 minutes, but I can change that, make it less or more if I want to. Do I want to attach a provider to this? Sure. And if I want to put a note, let's see, let's say that we want to make sure that everyone knows it's a DOT physical. Okay. Our statuses are here. At this point, since I'm just making it, I'm going to have it pending. But if you use this later on to do calling to remind people, you can, or even check them in, you can change the status at this point. And I can change the colors if I wanted to. So we'll just save this, and I've now added that person as a new appointment. I also have, if you see at the bottom here at 4 o'clock, a hospital staff meeting, that is representing a template or a repeating appointment that I have set up normally in my Lytec appointments. So I'm still able to see those here too. So I know that that time is not available. A new thing this year, or two new things this year on the schedule, is that not only can I add, but I can now edit and delete appointments. I've not had the ability to edit or delete before, so now you have the complete power of the schedule on your device. You can make appointments, change them if you need to, and delete them if necessary. These are only for single appointments. They are not for a series of appointments, as in repeating. So this is just one at a time, single appointments that you can edit and delete. But adds a lot of functionality here if I want to be able to do everything that I can in the main schedule. I can also, just like I had on my main screen, I can choose my resource by just flipping through it here at the top. I can also view the month. If I want to change to another day very quickly, I can do that. And if I have another day and need to go back to today, there's a today button that goes back to today. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner a refresh button. If you're in an office that if someone else is making appointments, you might want to click that first, just in case someone is making an appointment for the same time slot that you are targeting. That way it will update the schedule so that you're not double booking someone. So it's not a bad idea to hit refresh if you're booking appointments and someone else might be doing it too. All right, if I, let's say I want to go ahead and do a charge. I've got Harrison here, and I like to use my device to do my super bills. I try to stay paperless, so I just pick him off the schedule. I'll click the $ here for add charges. I can have numerous super bills already constructed in my system. You have the capability to customize and add as many of these as you'd like. You might have a super bill for physicals, one for well child visits, maybe one for sick child visits, just regular follow-ups, things like that, so that you can add those procedure codes and diagnosis codes that really just pertain to the kind of visit that you're looking at. Or you can just have a general one like I have here. If I do have multiples, I can just flip through and select the one I want. You have complete customization control over this. So if I wanted to rearrange this or add things, you can do that. I'll show you that in a bit, but just keep in mind that you're not stuck with what comes out of the box. You can make this your own. I can change my provider if I want to. I'll just click the arrow key and I can change the provider here. I also have the ability, and this is a new feature this year for the facility. Previously, I only had the facility name showing up. So let's say you had two Children's Mercy hospitals. Maybe there's a west and an east, but you didn't put that in the description. You wouldn't know which one to use, but you might have made the distinction in the code that your office is set up. So now we will show the code, and a lot of people will recognize which one is which that way. So I'll just click that and add the facility to it. Well, let's say that they came in for a visit and I gave them a flu shot while they were here. And I'm going to pick a diagnosis. We'll just say that. So I can add notes in here if I want to, add more diagnosis codes. We'll say that we want to see them again in 4 weeks. I'll submit this. I do have my review charges turned on so that I am getting one more opportunity to look at this before it goes over to Lytec. I can make changes. Anything with an arrow means that I can look it up and make a change. Let's say I wanted to add a modifier to this. I could do that. If I need to change my units, I can change the units here. And the notes that come back in 4 weeks is showing up here. So this is just one way to go through and make sure that everything that you clicked on the front screen, the prior screen, is what you want here. If I'm okay with everything, I'll hit submit. So by hitting submit for the super bill, what I've done is send the transaction to the Lytec core practice management system. In Lytec, then it will come up and be stored as a pending transaction. The staff can then look at all the pending transactions for the day and review them for their accuracy and completeness, and then go ahead and save them just as though they had entered that transaction directly into Lytec. So you can use the device now to do all of your charges. Let's say you're doing nursing home visits or hospital rounds. You can just make your charges right here, or even use the iDevice right in the practice itself. If you don't want paper, having to check boxes and have paper float around, you can do it right from your device and have the staff then review it so that it's not going over unreviewed into Lytec. All right, let's look at one other feature in Lytec. That is the patient intake. I talked about that a little while ago. For a new patient, I can use the patient intake to create them brand new by clicking the patient intake button, the little person's head and plus symbol that you can see on the screen. You can hand the device to them, and then they can fill out all of their information and hand it back to you, rather than filling out a form on a clipboard with a pen. On the other hand, you can also use this for existing patients. So I will pick Harrison here and click the patient intake button. And what we'll do is bring in all the demographics that I already have on this patient. Then they can review it. So you can still hand the device to either a new patient or an existing patient, and they can go through and just make sure that everything is correct. Maybe something's missing. You can ask for their social security number, email address, that sort of thing. Maybe you got married. You can change that. So they can update their information here. We just go section by section. Looks like I need to have a phone number in here. Let's do that. Okay. Oh, I've added that. Notice we've got some error checks in here to make sure that certain areas, certain fields that you have deemed defaults or those that are required will show up. Employment, they can change their employment if they have another person in here already. Patient responsibility, are they responsible for themselves, or is it maybe it's a parent for a child? You can put that person's information in. Emergency contact information. Insurance, so they can the patient can enter their insurance information, their relationship, both primary, secondary, and tertiary. Notice one thing that is not here is the policy number. Most practices still like to either scan or copy the insurance card for their records. So this will then allow the staff, the practice staff, to enter that information rather than allowing the patient to do that. There would be no way for the practice staff to verify that the numbers and letters were entered properly without them already having the card in their hand or a copy of the card. This just puts the responsibility on the staff, so that's why you won't see that here. Medical history. This is a customizable page so that you can add various diseases and things like that for the patient to answer. If you ever had any of these conditions, they can just click the ones they want. Family history, they can click that. Any medications, allergies, things like that, those you customize yourself. So you can add these as you wish. Here's one that's kind of topical. I added this about smoking. You might want to add another field, ask about vaping. Does the individual vape in addition to smoking? We've found in many cases already when doctors ask a patient, do you smoke? They say no, but until they ask, do they vape, will they answer appropriately? So we need to ask the right questions, and you can add these yourself. Forms and signatures, another customization area. You can add your own forms, those kinds of practice forms, let's say for financial, for privacy, things like that, that you would normally give to the patient to sign on a piece of paper. You can bring these forms in. So I'll look at a sample financial policy here, and the patient can either accept or decline this. Same way with their office policies. Talk about your billing practices. Patient can accept or decline. Once they've done that, then they check whether the patient himself is the person reviewing and signing the form. If so, it completes the name. If it's not, then the person doing the signature will need to add their own name. This provides not an electronic signature like you would use with a pen, but it is an electronic acceptance that the patient has read it by clicking the boxes, and it does timestamp this too. So it'll be saved in Lytec when and who did this information. Once everything's finished, you can click finish. It gives a note to the patient to give the device and the insurance card back to the practice staff, and then the system locks. So they can't run off with it. They can't go in and look at other patients, things like that. So the staff can then log in and continue using the device for the next person. One thing I mentioned I was going to show is how to create a custom super bill. So I will go and click the little cog-like button in the upper right.
I'm not going to go into that. So just a reminder. So this mobile app it could be anywhere. So the data could be in the cloud, and the mobile app could be in the practice. The data could be at the billing service side, and the tablet or the device could be at a practice, or the data could be anywhere and the provider is at the hospital or nursing home. So as long as you have internet connection, then the provider or the staff or the patient is able to either access the patient kiosk or the intake form, or staff could be accessing the schedule, or the provider could be doing the electronic super bill. So this is like multi utility together. It's the scheduling, it's the billing, and it's the intake form for the patient. So this is a really nice, cool feature with all the craziness going on where it's making us all mobile. Could come handy if you are a billing service and you want the provider to send. You can imagine if you're a billing service or you're the biller at a practice and you don't have to deal with a paper super bill, those transactions come inside your Lytec. So this is an extreme time saver, and of course accuracy. With all the shortages in labor, this can be very handy to all of us. Any questions? So if you want to ask a question, either you can type it or just unmute yourself, and I would love to hear it directly from you, if you don't mind. The next feature is like a 2-in-1. So their Lytec now is able to scan insurance card. Then now they added the OCR, where it can take the text and turn it into information where you can populate the information in it. So let's take a look first. Let me see if I'm able to still connect. Okay, so if you have a patient on the screen, okay, when you have the patient, you go to patient and you click on the images. So you're able to label each image with a name or a code, and you can scan the image. So I have the driver's license here, and I have the insurance card here. So why this is important? Because it's important if somebody makes a mistake in the data entry, I can capture the original image. So if the billing, again, with all the craziness happening where everybody is working from different location, having this image centralized, it's a lot easier for me to double check if somebody made an error or there's more updated information. And if there's new information were entered, I can just hit import. And if you have a scanner, you can just scan from the card itself in the office, or if it's an image that somebody did, you can point where the image is and can point at it and bring it inside the Lytec. So let's take a look at the OCR. And that's what changed in this version here.
Demonstrate an OCR scan for an insurance card. So we'd open up.
Just just in case if you don't know what OCR means, OCR means optical character recognizer, which is it looks at an image and translates the characters into information. So it takes a picture and recognize the information to populate it for you. That's what OCR. I apologize if I take it for granted, thinking that everybody knows what OCR is.
A patient. And you notice on the right side, there's a get card data. Right now it's grayed out. You're only going to see it when you're on one of the 3 insurance tabs. So I can get the data one of 2 ways. I can either scan like I normally would just from a scanner. The card is in front of you and you can just scan it. Or if you already have some cards previously scanned, since Lytec has scanning for over 10 years, you probably have a lot in your system already. And that's the method I'm going to use today because I don't have a live scanner put together. I'm going to select my images. Let's see, let's do GHP. And I'm going to pretend that I have a simplex scanner that just does one side. So I'm going to do the front, then I will pull the back. And I've constructed this screen with a GHP front and a GHP back, just using some files that some cards I'd already scanned. When I hit OK, that will start the process to go read the card, get the information from Accurate, and then bring back a validation screen. You can also do this if you have a duplex card, and I'll go through that after we're finished here. So let me make this a little bit larger so you can see it. This is the validation screen that you would get once the information is brought back from Accurate. You can see the card that you scanned, and then the information in the upper right is what was taken off of that card. You can kind of scan through and make sure that it got everything that you wanted. If there was an effective a from and to date on the card, it would fill that in. In this case, notice that it has an office visit copay and a specialist copay because the card has both. If I were a specialist and I want that copay to come across into the patient in Lytec, then I would just check that box and the 40 would come over versus the 20. If multiple addresses are found on the card, and some cards do have that, you would see the multiples here. You could select the one you want. Same thing, as you can see, there's 4 phone numbers that were scraped off the back. And maybe in my office, I want to make sure that I would be calling this 4470 number. So that's the one I'm going to check. And I'll show you in a minute how that's helpful. So everything looks good here. I'll click OK. And it has brought some of the information back into Lytec. Notice some information is printed above where the insurance code was. That's going to be helpful in case, in this particular case, maybe I'm looking for Coventry. I need to see that if I already have it. I do not in this case, but if I did, and I could see off to the side here, PO Box 7170, I'd know by looking at what I have printed here that it's the same one, and I could, with confidence, pick the correct one. Well, that's why the address is there too, because a lot of times that's the only thing that might distinguish an entire batch of GHPs or Blue Crosses or United Healthcares, that sort of thing. But in a case like this, I don't see them in here at all. So I will say add, and notice that it's brought all the information from the card scrape into my insurance company screen. So all I really have to do is choose the right type here and maybe the fee schedule, and I could hit OK. And this insurance would now be in my insurance file to be used for this patient and any other that have Coventry in the future. It's also brought back, and this is new to display on the screen, the scan data, the name of the patient on the card. This can be helpful when you're trying to pick the relationship. Obviously, I'm in a patient with a different name than what's here. So maybe I need to make sure that it's a child or a spouse or something like that. So try to display that, because you really can't go back to the card easily from this point, but by having it on the screen, hopefully it gives you an assist on checking and choosing the right insurance code and relationship. So let me go to another tab, and this time I'll do a card that's duplex. And I'm going to pick an Anthem. So I have a duplex Anthem in here. Okay. One thing that's very important here is when you do have a duplex card, verify at this point that in the duplex column here, I pulled it out a bit, that it says yes, that it's a duplex. Notice the ones where it's just front and back, it says no. This yes on a duplex is very important for the scan, because even though it's both, you can see both on the screen right now. When I bring that back, we split it into a front and the back for the scanning. So do make sure that that you have that as the correct setting. If it's not the right setting, double click it. Your description window should pop up, and you can check the box that says duplex. And then once it's set, it'll always be set. So I'll do a scan here for my duplex card, and we should get the same type of information that we had on the card that we put together, the front and the back. So here I can see my front and back of the card and the information that was taken off of it. Notice I don't have any kind of a copay at this point. Since I'm not on the primary tab, even if I had a copay here, I'm only going to show it when I'm on the primary. And let's see, which number do I want? 5554321. And I'll check this just in case I need to add it. And again, it's brought the information back with the zip code here, so that as I'm going through to see if maybe I have this Blue Cross already, I could look for that zip code, and I don't see that I have one with that zip code. So I could, again, click add and add that as a new insurance company in my system. And it's also brought the name back. So that's the two ways that you can build your cards. Actually three. You can scan it live, bring it back as a front and back that's already been scanned, or bring it back as a previously scanned duplex.
All right, any questions? The next feature is the ICD search, where new codes that come at us every year, you might want to add a new code, and this is just an easier way to add a code. So let's take a look how that works.
The content provider for ICD codes is now IMO, Intelligent Medical Objects. The process of getting to them is exactly the same as you're accustomed to. I'm going to look up a code, and maybe I'm looking up COVID codes. I only see one, maybe I want more than that. And I'll just click the ICD-10 lookup like you have in the past. The different content provider is going to show this time. And let's do it this way. Now I can see the multiple codes that are related to COVID-19. The plus allows you to hover over it and see related codes. Let me change diagnosed user here. And notice that there is a type ahead function. I wanted to get one that had the ellipsis button here. For something like diabetes, there's a pick list of things to be able to choose the right diagnoses. So here I can choose it's type 1, it's without complication. And if there were others, then I could select those. And it's giving me the option here to select this particular code. And then whatever is showing up on the right side that's checked when I hit OK is what's going to come back into my Lytec list of diagnoses. Even though it's a new content provider, the list of diagnoses that has been built for your practice over the years, that's still retained. So it's not going to take those away. This is just for either correcting some codes that might be new, or maybe have some different modifiers, or just some related codes that you don't already have in your system. But what you've built is going to stay there, this list here.
Okay, another feature that I talked about a lot, I'm just going to mention it quickly, which is really the billing, the AR tracker. So AR tracker is an interactive account receivable. So instead of printing reports, and that report might be 200, 300, 500 pages, this is an interactive way of looking at your AR where I can filter or I can narrow down what I'm looking for. So over here is I'm narrowing down by insurance. I can change it by patient. I can do a particular range of date of service, and it will give me everything is open, and I can sort by the amount I want. Then I can just keep drilling down to see where that amount coming from. Again, I can sort one more time and maybe go after the larger amount. Then I can see that Adam George has the highest amount. I can I can drill down on Adam George, and I can see every billing number, and I can take notes and set up reminders for me or for other people to follow up on this particular claim, or update the status of that claim. So this is a lot more interactive. I mentioned this kind of feature. It has to be my number one feature that I love in the last 10 years that Lytec brought in. So I really beat it to death in many of my seminars. If you ever want to see an older seminar, so if you go to microwize.com, and if you click on the product, and let's say if you click on the training, you should see a button somewhere here where it says recorded session. So if you can go to, it has a topic on each recording, and you can actually, there's multiple pages here, so you can watch any of my recording that we've done before. So I really did beat this one to death, and I hope everybody's using it. Okay, so the last feature, best for last here, is I'm going to introduce, I have on the line with me Rosemary Bright. Rosemary, of course, some of you might remember here from Microwize. Rosemary now is the Director of Business Development at Vuzeta. So Vuzeta is a sister company to Microwize, where we're developing a patient engagement tool. So what Vuzeta is almost like an online booking that has other features. So let me first show you what Vuzeta looks like, then I'm going to explain to you how it works with Lytec and how it can help you.
Can I just interject really quick, Robert?
Sure, go ahead.
Hi there. Good morning, everyone. Thank you Robert, for inviting me to join you on the Lytec User-Group today. You did steal my thunder, just want to say. Yeah, so Vuzeta is an amazing platform. We're helping physicians by bridging that gap, connecting patients, and giving them the flexibility to just go online, make an appointment, and you don't have to be at the mercy of anyone's schedule, or if you're working a 9 to 5, you can do this on your free time. And the best part about it all is it works wonders with Lytec along with Medisoft. So if you guys are interested, please, when Robert's done with the little presentation there, I'd love for you to make a note of my contact information and send me an email. Takes 5 minutes to set up, and like I said, it's free, and I will be more than happy to give you a quick overview on how we are bridging the gap improving the practice's online presence and also being flexible with our telemedicine and other patient engagement tools. So Robert, the floor is yours.
Okay, so thank you, Rose. So as a patient, the patient can be either looking for providers. So think of like you the provider and you're trying to get more patients. The patient doesn't know you yet. And the patient can just go here and look for a specialty, or they can click on one of the icons. This icons is kind of like we change them once in a while based on who's the top the specialty that is joining us, so that you might log in again 2 months from now and you will see one icon has been switched to something else based on who's the top providers are or top specialties. Then the patient could be either looking for somebody to do televisit or an office visit. So regardless if they're looking for televisit or an office visit, they can just hit search and they will see all the different type of patient doctors are available. And let's say I want to schedule for tomorrow at 8 a.m. and they'll be logging in and will be able to book that appointment, and that appointment can make it into Lytec. Let me show you now how it works with the Lytec.
This is Vocida, an open table for physicians. Patients can find you based on specialty, location, or insurance, book you for in-office or telehealth visits, and review you online. Vocida is now integrated with Lytec, so you don't have to transfer booking data manually between multiple applications, and no more double bookings for a single slot. Let's see it in action. Let's search for Dr. Tim on Vocida. It seems like he doesn't have any availability. We are now going to create the availability from Lytec as a template. When Vocida sees that we have created a template, it's going to make the availability. We will give the template a name and pick reason codes like follow-up and telemedicine. Change the background color. Let's choose dates and times for the availability. Now let's move to Vocida and see if the appointment shows up. And here it is. Since we picked telemedicine as the reason code, we can see telemedicine as reason here. We will go ahead and book the appointment. We can see the appointment showing up in Vocida. So let's move to Lytec and see if it shows up. Here it is. The Vocida appointment has automatically synced to the Lytec software, so you don't wind up with double bookings. If you add an appointment in Lytec, it will be synced on Vocida, so the patient on Vocida can see the booked slot and can't double book you. You can use the Vocida telemedicine feature for a telehealth visit, even for your Lytec appointments. Creating availability from Lytec to Vocida makes it much easier and allows the two systems to act like one. You can use your favorite practice management software with Vocida to attract new patients and connect with your existing patients.
Okay, so again, there's other software in the market that charges a couple $100 per month to let you do something like this, or telemedicine. This is all for free. There's no additional charge for it. So use it with all the craziness happening. Hopefully something like that can help you guys to, with the challenges that we have. And this is Rosemary's contact information. If you want to be set up, call Rosemary and she will set you up. Let's see if we have any questions. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions, this is my contact information. You're welcome to email me or call me later on and ask me the questions. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I want to thank you so much for your business, and stay safe, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.